Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. Now, as you can tell from the title, because I like to hope that my videos are quite self-explanatory, we are here with a full review of the 2024 New Japan Cup, or as Kenta likes to call it, the New Japan Puck. Now, it is the 20th of March, can we check that? And we've just had the final. Now, I'm going to look through all the matches, well, not all the matches, the general outlook on this year's tournament, the standout matches, what surprised me, and then of course the final. Now, this has been a very drama-filled New Japan Cup. I was going to say New Japan Puck. This is Kenta's fault. Now, I'm going to start by iterating. Probably wasn't the best tournament. A lot of people probably agree there was a lot of issues within it. However, I think at the end of the day, the final result was perfect. So yeah, let's get started. As I said, we're going to start with the first round. Now, I'm trying to think. So in the first round, we obviously had 4 buys, and this was Sonada, Evil, Hiroki Goto, and Zack Sabre Jr. 4 men who have all won the New Japan Cup in the past. Now, aside from this, there was some interesting matchups. So I'm just going to pick out the really good ones and the really bad ones. So on the first round, like I said, we had some interesting matches. So as much as I counted out Kenta, he had like a fairly decent match with Yoshihashi. Like, it was actually a pretty proper match. Then at the end, he showed a sign of respect to Yoshihashi before then beating him from behind because obviously he lost. But again, it was a nice surprise, and it shows that Kenta can actually do really good matches. He just needs that push. It was one of those odd ones. So there was a very nice mix. So Shingo Takagi versus Yuya Uemura was amazing. El Phantasmo versus Mikey Nichols, Yota Tsuji versus Jeff Cobb, Callum Newman versus Gabe Kidd. It was all phenomenal. All of these wrestlers are really showcasing, right, Okada's gone, Ospreay's gone, Tanahashi's injured, Naito's not involved. We can still do this. However, balancing on some very, very good matches, the start of the tournament was the start of what I guess people like to call the House of Torture curse. Now, I am going to put this out there. I am not the biggest House of Torture fan. However, I get their heel tactics. Yet, as much as I hate to admit it, I agree with a lot of Western fans out there. It is getting tiring. So we had Jack Perry versus Shota Umino. Taichi versus Ren Narita. And then when we got to, we had like Evil versus Hikuleo. There was so much cheating. Like, I spoke about this with SP3 on True Heel Heat. It's a case now of, as you're watching the matches, you're almost anticipating it. You could even have a really good match to start, but it will at some point get ruined by the House of Torture's antics. So for example, Ren Narita beat Taichi in the first round match. Broke my heart, you know. I didn't get to see a Dangerous Tekkers reunion. And at first, Zack and Narita were having a very good match. Then you had the antics. If you want to push Ren Narita, have him be able to beat Zack Sabre Jr., who I guess, compared to most wrestlers, is the most similar in terms of technique. Have him beat him clean instead of just having the House of Torture come in every single instance. But obviously, he was there for the Hikuleo Evil match, the Jack Perry Toru Yano match. Wait, it wasn't that, was it that? The House of Torture was a huge presence in every single match. However, within all this burdening issues within the House of Torture, which I think especially at the start saw a lot of concerns because we obviously saw Evil make it to the semi-finals after beating Shingo Takagi, there was some really nice blossoming matches that really showcased how the future of New Japan is extremely safe. So, off the top of my head, we had Yota Tsuji versus El Phantasmo. Again, the two of them are so different in their styles and personalities, but they put on an amazing match. It was high-flying, it was fast, it was quick. And it's 2 guys who are the future of New Japan. I know I say that it's weird because ELP has been wrestling for years. However, I think whether he stays heavyweight, is open or junior, ELP has that charisma and that talent to really capture the heart. And working with Tsuji on a similar style really allowed him to shine. We had Sanada versus Yoshihashi, that was a surprising match for me. So you know I love Sanada, you know I love Yoshihashi. But Yoshihashi was in the main event here against Sanada, who had a bye. And personally, I think it was a really good match to showcase two very different styles. The crowds were really into it. And I think while at home we might not feel a connect to two characters like Yoshihashi and Sanada, the crowds in Japan do. Similarly, when they saw, So Shingo Takagi versus Gabe Kid. Wow. Okay. This one, I don't know why this one like for Gabriel Kidd. Thank you, Gedo. Thank you, Tanahashi-san. He has re-signed his contract with New Japan. And his match with Shingo Takagi proves that while they weren't ready to push him to the stars just yet, he is someone that New Japan is looking forward to. Because his match with Shingo Takagi was phenomenal. I feel like I missed all of that, but I really want to highlight this one. We've seen Gabriel Kidd do these death matches, these crazy shenanigans, but at the core of it, he is an amazing wrestler. And as the Bullet Club War Dogs, there was no interference from any of them. It was just a pure wrestling match showcasing two people at very different points in their careers, but all looking for one thing. Now, talking about the War Dogs, so I think the complexion of this tournament changed massively because we were meant to have David Finlay versus Hiroki Goto in, I think, the semi-final or the quarter-final. But it was announced that David Finlay was injured and would be out the tournament, forfeiting it. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about whether this was the right decision, if they couldn't have replaced him. They did something similar to this when Will Ospreay was injured and Mark Davis did it. However, from the urgency and the lack of, time, a notice that we got, so basically this announcement was done, I think, about 10 minutes before the show started, it seemed like it was a very sudden thing. And like with IWGP title opportunities, if you don't attend the match, you're out of it. And I guess it makes sense because Finlay now is still injured, and I really hope you get an update soon. But he is at that stage now where, there was no knowing what was going to happen. So that meant that Hiroki Goto actually got 2 buys. Now, this meant that within the whole craziness of it, so we got to a semi-final that was Sanada and Goto versus Evil and Tsuji. So that was the 2 brackets. We had initially, I was very worried for my life when Tsuji versus Evil ended in a no contest, which I didn't know was possible in the New Japan Cup, but then I didn't know you could win a title on count out like Show did. So, I mean, New Japan, get your rules sorted. But then they came back, then Tsuji was like, I want a rematch, and that ended with a lot of help from Shingo, Hiromu and Bushi, which meant that Tsuji got comeuppance for Shingo, who got beat by Evil in the previous round due to interference. Then we had an extremely handsome match of Hiroki Goto and Sanada. I personally think that the first point of call for this, it was meant to be Sanada versus David Finlay, because it just made sense. But I instead got the best treat of my life, having 2 of my favourite wrestlers wrestle an amazing match. It was phenomenal from start to end. There was nothing that I didn't like about it. The crowds were very split. Now, I personally wouldn't have minded who won. I've got Sanada on the wall, but I've always been a big Goto fan. But I think the world, New Japan fans, couldn't hide their excitement when Hiroki Goto got the win. Yes, he is one of the older guys in New Japan, but his history within the company and within the New Japan Cup speaks for itself. So we got Hiroki Goto versus Yota Tsuji for the final. And I do genuinely think, I think it was meant to be Sanada versus Finlay, I think the final was meant to be Tsuji versus Finlay to get a proper babyface versus heel match. However, that didn't happen. And so today we had the final match. And wow, so I didn't watch the show because I was working, but I was like, right, make sure someone can get me updated for the final. And what a match it was. These are 2 guys who are, I've said this earlier in the video. They are at 2 different parts of their career. Goto is a man synonymous with the New Japan Cup. Tsuji is a future hoping to make a name out of himself. And I did a poll, before the match started, as the match started, and a lot of you are with me. A lot of you wanted to see Hiroki Goto get the win. And you know what? The crowd was split as well, because there was moments where Tsuji looked like he was going to win. He's hitting the Gene Blast. Goto was hitting the GTW, the Ushigoroshi. It was fast paced. However, these men are two very big, strong fighters. So it was also quite slow paced. And what I liked is that it blended into the storyline. So think about it. Suji, this was his 4th or 5th match of the tournament. And so you could see that he wanted to go for that fast, quick paced offense. But he couldn't. Everything was taking more energy. And in the end, with a match that I think he went about 25 minutes, though it felt like 10, Yota Tsuji got one final Gene Blast for the win. And he is your 2024 New Japan Cup winner. The future of New Japan is starting now, because you know what? I think we said that if Tsuji or one of the 4 Reiwa Musketeers didn't win, it was a bit concerning because we didn't know whether they were going to go forward and push this new generation so quickly. But they are. And so Yota Tsuji will be challenging Tetsuya Naito at Sakura Genesis for his title. When he got the trophy and he made his speech, he said, "There is no more reign. I think the reign has gone, the emperor has gone, but I am here." Naito came into the ring. We've got LIJ versus LIJ coming up. And you know what? I think, we've had the Rainmaker shock. We had the Switchblade shock. We might be coming up for the Gene Blast shock or the Tsuji shock. Because yes, while Naito has a massive match against Jon Moxley at the April show for New Japan Strong, there was no confirmation that this was a title match. So, could we see Yota Tsuji beat his Los Ingobernables de Japón leader to win the title? And then we could see Naito versus Moxley as like a normal singles match. I think it seems more likely. I can't imagine after, obviously, Tsuji challenged Sanada unsuccessfully. It would seem a bit rubbish for Tsuji to challenge Naito and lose again. However, I guess that's what happened. We had an amazing final. There was some bumps along the way, mainly with the help of House of Torture. However, the future is bright, the future is red, the future is Los Ingobernables de Japón. Now, I mean, we can say this, the future is safe with New Japan. There has been a lot of negativity, and you'll notice that I'm not really interacting as much with people on social media because I can see negativity, guys. But I think that New Japan are making small steps now to not fix, but to try and fill the holes that have been created by some of the biggest stars leaving. Yes, House of Torture will continue to be an issue. I mean, bearing in mind we've got Evil holding the Never title. I don't know whether they're House of Torture or War Dogs, but Kenta and Chase Owens hold the title. But a lot of stories have been built up going forward. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at Sakura Genesis. It's going to be a great card. But now it's time to let me know your thoughts. In the comments, let me know your top matches, your worst matches, and what you thought of the tournament overall. Yes, it might not have been the best tournament New Japan have had, but I think considering there was probably changes of card, changes of storyline, the final result made everything worth it. So let me know in the comments on social media at wrestling_chat. And remember, if you liked the video, make sure to hit like, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe. While there may be haters, there may be people leaving, I will forever be here with New Japan so you can catch all the latest content on my channel. First major tournament of the year is up. We've got Sakura Genesis, Best of Super Junior. The year has only started, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tournament, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!